Wonderful energy and super excited to announce the next panel discussing meme coins. Let's welcome James from Jambo as well and his entourage.
Thank you. What's up, everyone? Let's have some fun. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, please. All right. Oh, you. Please. There you go. All right. Everyone, I hope you're not too tired from lunch. Appreciate y'all, Solana family, for being here. You already met my colleague, Sam. No need further intro. Appreciate the energy. Look, I'm so excited for this panel because I don't know if you guys have Phantom, Deck Screener, or set in your phone. You've been living under a rock, but essentially, I came today to this summit to learn about tokens that I have in my portfolio and hear from the founder and et cetera themselves. So I'm on your side. Think of me sitting front row with you, asking them questions, all right? So let's have some fun. Panelists, please. I just have one request. Let's keep all of our answers, if you can, under 1 minute. You know what I'm saying? Richard Feynman, you gotta explain it quick. And please let's do a quick round of introductions. We'll get into it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Steffi from Bybit Web3. I'm the head of operations. And we try to build Web3 innovatives and all initiatives, including airdrop, staking, and trading, and beyond. And we have around over 1 million wallet users at the moment. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Joe, previously co-founder of CoinHall, got acquired by Jupiter in October. Right now building the trench product for Jupiter, trying to make it more pro and more suitable for the trenches.
Hi, I'm Nam. I'm one of the core contributors behind Bonk.
Hi guys, I'm Christina. I'm the core contributor of the Mill community.
Hi, I'm Vivian from the Pepe community.
Awesome. So we're gonna kick off the first question with a bang, all right? And feel free, whoever wants to start answering. We're not gonna go no order like that. Just raise your hand and go into it. Next questions. Solana Summit. Why Solana versus launching the coin on another chain? Loaded question.
I mean, we were choosing it more importantly just as a way to amplify and excite like the Solana community in a post-FTX world. So Bonk was always focused on utilizing a bunch of the different things that developers had brought in and were excited to push forward. But instead, we were able to just choose it as a way where we want to just focus on the core initiatives, which is increase bandwidth, reduce latency, and build shit people want to use.
Actually, I'm going to have a follow-up question for Nam, because Bonk is actually different. Bonk is different from a lot of other meme coins in the space, because you essentially liquidity bootstrapped and provided for a bunch of Solana people airdrops and earning opportunities for community. How were you so community-centric going into it?
Well, I mean, I think everybody on the panel was able to focus on that. I know the Mew team did a ton for every one of not only Bonk, but also WIF and a few other core coins. Obviously, Jupiter is a pretty incredible in terms of what they're giving back into their community. But we were realistically just wanting to launch at a time when nobody else was really interested in launching things on Solana, and we were still here to make sure that people were able to play around, have fun at the start of the trenches.
Let's go. Hey, Mew, name drop, please.
Yes. And I think we choose to launch on Solana because the ecosystem here is kept evolving and the cultures here are more like Dejan's paradise. Short, neat.
Of course.
Thanks.
All right.
Pepe is actually a ERC20 token.
Yeah.
Well,
You will be the devil's
I'm very
advocate,
glad
not
to be
put you in that
here to
position.
Boo. Yeah, but being honest, Pepe has been considering bridging to Solana. We will find a better timing to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Very fair, very fair. I would love to hear from Jupiter and Bybit now, because you guys are obviously on opposite ends of the spectrum, sexes and dexes. Please. Whoever.
Yeah, I'll go. I think Solana has a huge concentration of both users and applications that are very maximalistic to the chain. So there's like a lot of chain loyalty. You see folks on Solana who have like never been on any other chain. It's hard to see that kind of loyalty from other chains. Like, I mean, you hit EVM chain. I mean, personally, when I was there, I rotated every EVM chain possible, right? During the whole 2021 season. But Solana had a different vibe. It's very welcoming. So ever since we built, we just never left. FTX crashed, we stayed, we continue building. FUD comes, FUD goes, we'll just keep building, right?
Bet.
Yeah, for the Bybit angle, actually, we always stand with a community, and I have to say, Solana community is one of the most dynamic community we've seen, right? And see how the meme season goes on Solana, it just keep ways in. So like from Pump from last year, and see how the fair launch, right? All the dynamics here. So that's the reason that Solana ecosystem is one of our strategic focus.
Very fair. Awesome. Shifting gears real quick. So there's no VCs on this panel. VCs play a huge role in the Web3 space, but for you three, for Mew, for PayPay, for Bonk, you had fair launches, if I'm not mistaken. Could you, before they step in, could you maybe share the difference between a fair launch and a VC-backed launch and why y'all went with a fair launch?
I mean, I'm happy to take that.
Let's go.
So the main focuses between traditional like VC coin releases or launches, such as Jambo's token, is usually the idea around initial investment groups or areas where there's longer-term emissions token groups. Most people think that fair launch protocols need to be 100% initially released, though sometimes there's allocations for things like DAOs or future marketing initiatives or incentives. Basically, how can you get as many people as possible access to a token at the same price so that they all have the same opportunity and there isn't initial previous rounds that were being sold out to? The problem with equal opportunity is not every single person has access to equal tooling. You know, you've seen a lot of these in terms of areas around bundling. You know, that's been a problem around Pump and other platforms. So it becomes not fair launches are an idea where it's something where everybody should be able to get it to at the same price, but it's not necessarily accurate just because there's differences in information flow, there's differences in understanding on when things are going to happen. Sometimes people get contracts early, et cetera, et cetera. So fair launches are designed to be fair, but unfortunately with people involved, things never are.
Sir, very fair. Please, Christina.
Yes, I think there's no bad strategy to launch a token. So if you get a strong consensus, if you get a strong community, fair launch is definitely the best way. But you need to prevent the snipers, the bots. So our strategy is to reserve some tokens to airdrop to Bonk, airdrop to Wave, and airdrop to Solana Mobile. Yes, that's our strategy to launch our tokens. And in this round, maybe a lot of traders doesn't believe in VC's back meme anymore, but I don't think it's a bad thing. If a VC can back for a long-term meme, they can help help them to build a more healthy long-term goals. Yes.
Fair.
I think everybody knows that Pepe started this meme super cycle from anti-institution, anti-VC. So we start from there. So at that time, we really want to launch very fun, maybe a casual version of BTC. We truly believe that the mass adoption is a key for the assets in crypto. Not only crypto, all the like Web2, Web3 assets. So that's why we choose this very memeable meme of Pepe. It already existed for more than 10 years in Web2, and then here we go. Yeah.
Okay, very fair. Jupiter and Bybit, please. Fair launches versus VC launches. What you thinking?
Right, because I stand for probably more a Bybit Web3 angle. So we work with the open ecosystem, right? So we work closely with communities because, to be honest, like most of the airdrops we've done, we work with like, for example, a project like Bond and others. So we think community is the most important, right? You need engagement and you need to work with them. So for that, for the Web3 angle, we always work with the community.
Fair launches community, bet.
Yeah, I think it depends like what kind of product you're actually pushing. Like if you're something super consumer facing or it's like a meme coin, you're just playing in the attention economy, go fair launch, right? Because you kind of appealing to the kind of holder profile that you are looking for. But I mean, if you're building some very technical focused B2B product that like no shot, the consumer's going to understand what they're even like trying to buy as a token, I think it does make sense to do some venture backing. I mean, we run a startup. We needed some backing then because you needed a ramp up. You weren't ready for like, oh, I'm gonna boom to retail attention like right now, right here, right now.
Right.
Really depends what you're building, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I see 10 minutes and 50 seconds left here. Right. Let's switch gears a little bit. I heard one word that they all said that centers around it: community. And if we can all agree on one thing, is meme coins somehow honestly have the strongest communities with their very fair launches. So I want to hear, how do you actually reward community and build a community of no VC funding, doing it yourself, airdropping, becoming some of the largest tokens in your chains? Like, please just share with us. Community.
Maybe let me start. Actually, Pepe originally have 6.9% of the total allocation, but we burned majority of it. So since October 2023, we only holding 0.4%. So
you had 6.9% total supply and you burned it to 0.4%.
Yeah. So since October 2023, which is like just 5 months after the launching, we only have like 0.4%. So the way that we are rewarding, I think, is burning the token, and then we do a lot of CeFi with like Binance, Bybit, and all the major exchanges.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Nam, please, sir.
I mean, I think Bonk is very lucky for the opportunity to grow alongside Solana's community just since its initial launch. The focus was essentially taking individuals that were in 4 different verticals, whether they were traders, NFT holders, artists, developers, and just reward them for their contributions. There are things that they had been participating for in Sol. So Bonk's been able to grow with them through a variety of different initiatives, whether that's things like hackathons, whether that's working through various different reward mechanisms, like we did the Bonk Dragon, we did Bonk Myths, all these different ways of really the big thing for Bonk is just focus on what development groups or teams are doing inside of the ecosystem, highlight the work that they're doing, use our platform as an opportunity to uplift a bunch of others and get them to be interesting and exciting so that other people can check out what things are going on. The biggest thing for anybody in crypto, I think, right now is to be able to compete with traditional applications in Web2, where every single team right now, whether they're Microsoft or Amazon or Facebook, are all trying to compete on one single metric, which is the amount of time that you can get people utilizing your applications. That's how you advertise. That's how you monetize. Crypto applications focus a lot on things like TVL, and not necessarily in the way of trying to make your app feel like it's a part of your user's life. The biggest thing that Bonk can do, and the way that we get more people to come into Solana, and then Bonk also benefits, is just try to make cool things that people are interested in, and try to make it so that people are looking at a new thing every single day so that we can see what they might get interested in.
Very fair. Very fair.
Exactly 1 minute.
I see you. That was exactly a minute. Joe, please.
Yeah, I think meme coins are have an interesting edge in building a brand and building like in the attention economy because it's very visual, right? You have like look at Pepe, it's a frog, it's very identifiable. You see, you know it's Pepe, right? You won't think like, oh, this is Kermit the Frog, right? So I think they have the edge. It's almost like NFTs, but much more accessible. It's not just like 10,000. It's accessible by like 100,000s of people. So I think that part. Community has to be the key, right? Because you're not like, versus like you're trying to build like some very technical protocol. You're like, oh, we are like parallel execution, blah blah, right? You keep talking about features, but for meme coins, it's just on constantly the brand building part, building the community. People like the brand, identify with it, want to wear your T-shirt, want to wear your merch, right? So, yeah, I think that's kind of the nuance versus like building infrastructure protocol.
All right, cool. Christina, I got a different question for you. After community.
I think the key point for us to build community is to make our early supporters be part of us. Yes, we really make them make decisions like from merch makings and to the offline meetings, events, and the corporation brand. And I think making the community involved in the culture movement is also important. We've cooperated with lots of Web2 brands that the people in our community can actually connect with in their real life. And that's really our strategy.
Yeah, I'd like to add on a bit because we keep thinking about it, how to engage the community, right? Because, a lot of projects, probably just a bit young airdrop, how we can actually truly involve community. So for us, what we do is we actually try to empower community. Like, for example, we are doing AI meme, AI idol trading competition at the end of February. We actually empower the community that they can actually vote for their favorite AI agent projects, right, on Solana Virtuals. And then if they got the top 4 projects who got fully supported by their community, we would consider to list them on the Bybit Adventure Zoom, right? And we also share a $1 million pool. right? By this, we want to try establish a standard that you can actually really involve in this ecosystem, right? Instead of like letting others to do the decision, right? The community can actually have the power to do it. So that's what we want to do, and then we align both Bybit and Bybit Web3.
All right, awesome.
One more point from my
Please.
from my end is I think for it's not only for rewarding the community, to bring the community building together. It's about because we are meme coins, so meme is for fun. So it's most important is to make the community building this coin together with us. Yeah.
Amazing. Everything we just discussed, community, VC-backed, fair launch, all honestly leads to the go-to-market strategy of any token of anyone. With the panelists here, I wouldn't respect myself when I ask this question tomorrow morning is, when a founder is looking at go-to-market now, they see centralized exchanges, they see decentralized exchanges. And this dynamic and power has shifted quite drastically in the past 6 to 12 months. And you see a lot of tokens, different strategies and launching. So with the SEX and the DEX on, and 3 of the dopest meme coins in the space, I'd love to ask, what should a founder be thinking of when they're launching a token between a SEX strategy and the DEX strategy? And do you launch at the same time? Do you launch at different times? Who do you work? Please, take the stage away, whoever wants to.
I mean, I'm happy to take that.
Yes, sir.
So I think when you're going into any of these areas, it's obviously one part of it is trading for liquidity venues. You've seen the vast majority of centralized exchanges start to change their listing strategy in result to a lot of movement being pushed on chain more than anything else. That's the only reason that, centralized exchanges have really changed a lot of their methodologies because so much activity is happening on chain, on Solana specifically, where they want to capture some portion of that revenue, some portion of that fee volume so that it boosts their own metrics and they're competitive with existing platforms. And obviously Jupiter's been a massive beneficiary of this. When you're a fair launch token or anything of these natures, oftentimes the centralized exchange listing is not necessarily up to you. It's a one-sided relationship where you're applying and they're approving. So at this point, I think if you are looking to launch new tokens, your strategy shouldn't be around trying to get a centralized exchange on board. You should be focusing on what can you do to make your token useful and interesting for trading so that it causes them to essentially FOMO in and change that relationship.
Yeah, I personally think less that it's like decentralized versus centralized. It's more of an access point thing, right? Because for the past few years, centralized exchanges just had the best access, right? You abstract away chains, you abstract away gas. The moment they list it, you press a few buttons, you're in, right? Versus like something like Solana, if you're trying to get in on like super highly traded launch, you need to figure out things like slippage, like gas fees, and these are like not easy for the average retail user. So I think we've just been approaching it and like trying to abstract more of these areas away. So Jupiter launched like Ultra, which helps you like do intelligent settings for some of these slippage and gas fees. So I don't think you're just choosing between which platform. It's more like how can you best get access to your type of target audience, right? Yeah.
Got 2 minutes left. I'm gonna ask a question that we see every day on crypto Twitter and just on the news. Predictions, just talking hypothetically. Do you see a future in which every person, every political power is launching a token with backing, right? Like Trump coin, sucks all the liquidity up, the most powerful man in the free world. Is that the future that you see with tokens are not, hey, you fundraise, you do XYZ community, then you launch a token, but tokens as a go-to-market strategy now, where it actually bootstraps liquidity and et cetera. So I'm curious you guys' takes on that. And please keep it within real quick.
I don't think anybody wants to touch that. We saw a lot of sovereign nation states that I think are interested or less interested now in launching a lot of these token areas where, token launches looked like they were supposed to be free liquidity fundraising opportunity events for people to feel like they're invested or a part of some sort of success metric. And the problem with that is that there's no real reason for a token to be connected to a physical nation state or entity or person unless those people are interested in some way providing value or opportunity for it. That goes against what a lot of people are looking at for meme coins, where because of the regulatory environments that we live in, a lot of people are very scared of attributing value directly towards a token. Maybe a DAO does that, maybe a protocol does that, but the people who are issuing tokens are usually doing everything that they can to not have to promise something being valuable there. What that leads to, especially what we've seen on Solana in the last week, I'm not going to sugarcoat any of that, is useless tokens that are being purchased, promoted, incentivized in ways to make people a lot of money based on a lot of trading volume, reward people who are insiders pretending that there are fair launches when and essentially they're not because of how the platforms and the protocols are set up. And they're rewarding people who are advising or participating in some way, shape, or form with these things. Maybe there's a world that we live in the next few years where people are very easily able to launch these tokens or back them in some way, shape, or form by their activities or their reward metrics. But I think you saw us speed run that very quickly into the ground, and I hope we change that meta.
Yeah, I'll keep my comment short.
That was not a minute, I'm sorry.
Joe,
Yeah.
you got 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think the tech stack will come and go, trends come and go, but what will stay constant is people will always try to get attention. Whether this is a business, enterprise, a country, they will always be looking for the next attention vehicle. If coins stay an efficient way to drive attention, it will happen, I think. Whether right or wrong.
Awesome. All right, well, everyone, thank you for your time. I think the biggest takeaways of today's panel is stay true to your community, reward your community, and be careful of any fluff and what we discussed at the end there. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
All right. James did a really good job doing the previous one, so it gave me a lot of pressure. Because like this one's going to be very serious. But anyway, I'll try to be a little bit more fun. Before anything, let's maybe start with a round of intro, starting from Soon. I wasn't sure who was who.
All good, all good.
Soon is here. Do you want to switch? I have no idea.
Serious.
No, I think seriously you should switch.
Do you want to switch?
Okay, let's do it.
So I'll be sitting here.
It's very serious.
Wait, what?
Yeah, all right, here we go. Cool.
All right, there we go.
Super serious panel.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks guys. So I'm Frank, I'm soon head of Eco, and soon we're actually building a roll-up stack for Solana, and we're trying to bring the SVM to every other ecosystem.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Zhu, the co-founder and CEO of Sonic SVM. Sonic is one of the first SVMs to launch, and we are focused on games and applications and attention capital markets.
Jason here, I'm the co-founder for Solaire. Solaire is building an hardware-backed and hardware-accelerated SVM network that's capable of achieving 1 million TPS on day one. Like achieving it, not marketing, just saying it. So.
Dean, Chief Scientist of Zeus Network. We are a Solana network extension that enables you to verify Bitcoin transactions inside the SVM, as well as make transactions and basically have a very deep integration of the Bitcoin L1 inside of the SVM.
Hi. Hi, it's me again. I'm still changing my mindset from the meme student to this very serious thing. So just to justify a bit the reason why we are also part of this, because first of all, we are working closely with a lot of like SVM protocols ecosystem. Secondly, Bybit actually has our own SO, LST, BB SO. So we actually work with a lot of DeFi protocols within the Solana ecosystem, like including Solaire, Camino, RayX, etc. So I think for this panel, probably try to attribute a little bit angle from the user journey and side, and also like train integration from a wallet side. Thank you.
So before we dive into each of the project, I have a question for each of you. Obviously, not all of you are working on scaling solutions, but do you actually think Solana needs an L2? You could start if you.
Yeah. Actually, I think Solana doesn't actually need an L2, and a lot of people are thinking soon actually building Solana L2. Actually, it's not. But we actually bring the SVM as a layer 2 to other ecosystems. Let's say Ethereum and let's say BNB. Because right now I think for the L2 part, Solana is already high performance. So maybe do not need to settle on layer 2. But for the Ethereum and the BNB, they also maybe already too big to fall. But we still need to expand the SVM landscape to theirs, on top of them. So basically, we are trying to build L2s for them.
Well, I think we're actually one of the first to actually build the layer 2 on top of Solana, right? So we don't divert from the fact that we're a roll-up on top of Solana, but we want to focus a little bit on why Solana needs diversification in the sense that we started with one client and runtime kind of coupled together, and then once Anza decoupled that, we got validator diversity, runtime diversity, and then RPC diversity. So just from an open source stack level, we think that pushing the diversity of these pieces is going to be beneficial for the ecosystem. That being said, we think Solana is performant enough, fast enough, cheap enough, and it's only going to get better. So when we build the rollup or the chain extension ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, we think about verticalizing the operations to focus on distribution and ecosystem. That's always needed for all of the applications on top of Solana. And as applications numbers grow, you actually have more needs for very verticalized operations and distribution. So that's why we built Sonic, and that's what Sonic's also focused on. And from the products that we build, TikTok mini apps, we're building more social media extensions. That's our bread and butter.
First of all, I don't know if Solana is going to be either an L1 or L2. Depends on a few final technical decisions. Just want to explain the difference there. Whether if you are L1 or L2, the difference is whether your chain state would be impacted by L1 reorg. So that's the technical definition over there. And we have a few design choices we haven't really finalized, but both are equally doable and workable. But my point here is, I think Solana is fast and cheap, but they're not fast and cheap and scalable enough to meet the growing demand for SVM. During the meme coin trade season, you guys already see how much volume Solana is doing, but you also see problems. For example, your transactions not getting confirmed. For example, there's a lot of lag whenever you interact with dApps, whenever, basically transactions not getting confirmed. So we think there is a strong need to have a very much more scalable layer, not QX, which Solana can do by itself, but 100x. That's what we're thinking about. And therefore, we are having this hardware accelerated cluster to scale Solana and with a lot of transparent offloading. And the second thing is Solana is a single binary running on a single machine. In the future, you're going to expect much more storage. And therefore, Solaire's Infinity SVM is designed with multi-executor, also with distributed storage in mind from day one.
I would say yes. I think Solana is obviously extremely cheap and fast and a very highly performant blockchain. But I also think that the reasons for L2s typically on Ethereum and other chains have been because the chain itself doesn't scale. But there are actually more reasons than just scalability to pursue L2s. One of them being, for example, Solana is not quite so open to, for example, adopting new cryptography standards and things like that. So there are certain innovations in the SVM itself that absolutely deserve to be tried, but are just not going to be palatable on the L1. So it's either going to be pushed off into innovating on the L2, or you'll have alternative SVMs or L2s where these innovations happen first, and then they'll be backported to mainnet. So I see it beyond just the scaling roadmap that there is definitely use cases that are uniquely enabled by additional layers.
Yeah, I think probably I would say from a very user perspective, right? I think everyone trade for Tron on the weekend, right? The crazy weekend. I think probably a lot of people also having problem during the weekend to successfully execute the trade, right? Because the congestion on chain. That's a typical case study because users will only notice that whether they will need a faster, a better execution layer only once they could not actually execute a trade or staking. So that's a very basic user case from my end. So the answer could be yes, because now we are still having congestion. If it solved the problem, that probably it could be a solution.
That's a bit disappointing that everybody says yes. I was hoping that there was some debate. But yeah, let's start with Soon. I'd like you to talk about the decoupled SVM versus a direct forked SVM, because I know you guys did some particular choices for your decoupled SVM, and how does that help your chain scale better?
Yeah, I'm not really a technical person here, so I'm trying to talk this in a really simple way. So whenever we are building a SVM layer 2, what's the difference from the forked SVM with our decoupled SVM is we are actually removing the voting power, because we are actually building a layer 2 for other ecosystem like Ethereum, but we are not actually building a layer 1, so we don't actually needing all the votings on the layer 1s, and we do the OP for pro for other layer 1s. So basically, we want to make this as simple as possible, and maybe to bring us a higher performance compared to Solana. So that's why we do decoupled SVM. That's why we can bring the decoupled TPUs and bring the much higher performance on the TPS side, also on the block time side. Yeah, and I will keep this question really simple. Is that okay? Yeah.
Cool. And the question for Chris. First of all, we know Solana has been having a focus on gaming, and then you chose gaming as the sector that you want to dive deep. Why was the case? And obviously, you guys also kind of decided, in addition to gaming, you focus on TikTok as well. So on top of that, how does your I think it's called hypergrid or hypergrid framework help the whole design for your go-to-market?
Yeah, so I think the two choices are actually independent to each other. Originally, our team 3 years ago when we started in Solana, it's been a long time. When we started, the background of our team and the expertise of our team was to tokenize assets for entertainment industries, help them launched our own gaming NFTs, launched our own games, and just grinding in the trenches for a good 3 years. And during that time, one of the reasons why there is gaming, if you look at every single wave of gaming tokens, in 2020, it's actually DeFi plus gaming. You have a lot of mining tokens, DeFi land, such and so forth. And then in 2021, 22, you have NFT-based tokens, obviously, GMT and then step in there as well. And then you have meme coin-based tokens within gaming as well. So games are actually a really good host for whatever asset type that is at the forefront of the wave. But games themselves actually take way too long to produce if you're not just kind of attaching a front-facing UI for the game asset itself. And I think that's what we respect about StepN and Genopets here as well, is that trade-off is very, very good. But as attention shifts faster and faster in Solana itself, we're chasing shorter waves of these metas, right? So when that happened, we needed to find a way to actually keep attention from additional liquidity, additional users, and hence we started building entrance points. So TikTok's Sonic X, for example, brought 2 million users into Solana, into Sonic. 500,000 of them were eligible for airdrops. That was additional liquidity that didn't rely on the short attention span of the meme coin meta. So now when we're thinking about the next wave, we realize that we might have a revert to quality, but the attention span is still going to be short. So we're building anything that actually captures additional attention capital markets. So whether it be Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, Telegram, we can build these connectors on top of them and then just bring these users back to Sonic. And then Hypergrid, just very quickly, Hypergrid is a synchronization scheme or design architecture. So we can synchronize with the base layer at a fast enough batch time so that we can actually just have the state changes synchronized for both sides. That allows us to simultaneously do all of these connectors and not have too high of an expense for our chain, basically.
So the finality doesn't change, but you just have the data update on the second.
So it's almost like an off-chain computation environment for each one of these little apps, right? And then you can have additional grids.
Understood. And for Jason, I know you guys are working on Infinity SVM, which is a hardware accelerated SVM. Why or where do you see the user demand developing such high performance chain for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as with this meme cycle, where the users are coming in, where the actual traffic is coming in is because of the end user applications. And a lot of them is latency oriented. For example, meme trade, for example, Launchpad, for example, whatever AI agent that talks to each other and stuff like that. You would require low latency and high guarantee that this transaction I'm posting is included when I post it, right? So Web 2 developers are very familiar with API. What that means is that when I call in an API, I get a synchronous response, either yes or no. But in Web 3, because the block time, even for Solana, the block hash expiry rate is like 1 minute, you kind of send a transaction not knowing exactly how the transaction is going to be unless you poll the chain for the transaction status, right? So with a high performance and low latency chain, not only do you not get all the congestion issues, you also get the benefit of actually getting a synchronous response, just like you're calling Web 2 API. So I think that's something that people are not, it's the first, right? We haven't really delivered it, but I think that's going to totally change things a lot. And the second thing is just, no matter how much a chain is scalable, if it's not infinitely scalable on some level, you're always going to run into the bottlenecks on storage, on I/O, as more people using it. Even though meme trade is a big thing, I bet most of you here in this audience have not traded memes, Trumps, even the most popular coin, Trump. So there's still a lot of room for growth. And think about if you're going to move the entire world of finance to a chain, it's very, very difficult, given that even the meme trade can't really be handled by a chain. So that's where we see the actual demand. If you can make the user experience as transparent as it possibly can, lower the adoption hurdle, which I think SVM has the natural advantage to do so because your transaction contains multiple instructions. It's actually a pretty good solution from our standpoint of view.
Got it. And the question for Zeus Network, maybe a little bit deviated from SVM itself. How does Zeus minimize trust assumption for any of the, to prevent single point of failure on your SVM-based bridge? Well, I don't want to call it a bridge because Zeus is not technically a bridge.
Yeah, the way I would describe it is that Zeus Network is a deep integration of the Bitcoin protocol into Solana, meaning that you can verify anything that happens on Bitcoin natively in Solana or any other SVM environment. And so some of the things that we've done is we've implemented the entire Bitcoin protocol from scratch, including new cryptography such as Schnorr signatures, first team in the world to do that. So we can verify not just transaction inclusion, but we can also verify things like execution results of scripts. We can generate addresses on chain. We can do tap tweak, tap root, all on chain. So basically, moving all of the things that typically people could use Zeus for bridging, right? And that is a very big use case. But we take all of these things that a bridge would do, right? How a bridge would work is I would send you a bunch of money, right? At some bridge, you'd be some multisig, and you would decide what all the transactions looked like, where the money went, right? You'd immediately take my liquidity and send it somewhere else for you to earn money and yield off of my money, right? So our approach is we think we should remove all of that from the equation and make it totally, make it non-interactive from the perspective of anytime there is a signing event, all the signer could do is sign or abstain. But it is actually also possible to do even more integration and fully decentralized to the point that there are no signers. There are things coming up like BitVM and things like that you can also use, and new technologies like that. So for our perspective, the main thing that we want to do is prove that the transaction exists, that it's valid, that it was sent to the right place. We generate transactions on chain, we generate addresses on chain, so everything is determined by a Solana smart contract rather than some centralized custodian.
Cool. And a question for Bybit Web3 for Steffi. How does Bybit Web3 position itself in going into multiple SVM-enabled chains or protocols?
Right. I think there are a few different parts. So first of all, we talk about internally about what is Bybit Web3, right? Beyond the wallet itself, because wallet itself is just a product and a gateway. Especially in Web3, users don't really have loyalty to any wallet, right? You can just import your private key and that's it. So we talk about on-chain Bybit, and when we talk about on-chain Bybit, I think the conclusion could be two things. First is user-centric. The second is asset-centric, right? Because all tokens can be an asset. And when it goes down to that, how we interact with SVM, I think there are also three angles. So first of all, it's chain integration, right? That's the basic thing we need to do to integrate the different SVM. We need to support them. But I don't think that's the key part, right? Like whichever SVM that can support our regions and support the activities our users can conduct, we're gonna support it. So it's not the key things there. But the second thing is still about asset operations. Like what do our users want? Why users want to trade or stake or doing anything on the layer 2? That's the key problem that we are facing as a wallet ourselves. Right? So for that point, I think assets is very important because down to the end, when we see there are lots of different ecosystems, you will see the key user case could be assets, especially like LST, because that's interest-bearing assets, or stablecoins that actually serves a purpose and it's a long-term purpose. That's also why the reason that we establish our own BBSO and define actually on-chain ecosystem beyond the exchange part, right? That's one of the vision there here, and we will keep expanding that assets vision, keeps expanding the ecosystem of BBSO on-chain, keeping adding more utilities, right? And as in the meantime, we're going to discover more assets that we can operate. And the third thing is about user education, because we need to educate users how and why you need to use this chain to educate. What is the key differences there? What's the risk aligned, right? Like how we educate users about LST. There is a chance that if the validator is misbehaving, that your rewards can be slashed. So there are lots of things involved, like step by step to help users to explore different ecosystems. So that's all very practical things we are facing as a wallet ourselves. So I think, chain integration is the very first step. And then user ecosystem and asset operations will be a long-term goal for us.
Last round of question. Any special developer tool that you'd like to mention in your ecosystem?
I think he wrote something very interesting that's on the assembly level. I don't know if it's helpful, but I think it's very fun.
Assembly is very fun. Yeah.
Oh.
I think you can check out the Solana SECP256K1 library that I open sourced. It opens up a whole bunch of really cool cryptography that no one even knew was possible.
We have something called Rush, which is a fully on-chain abstraction kit for all of the developers to build. So abstracts away the initialization of accounts and all of the difficult stuff with initializing on Solana.
Actually, also related to Jin, we work with Turban a lot. So basically, we really like your Poseidon library. So it's really easy for developers to build on SVM.
I want to offer something that's of great value to anyone who's transacting. So acc.solaire.org, send your transaction there. The mean landing slot is 2 slots. So you get confirmed within under 0.8 seconds, 98% of the time.
Do you want to add anything, or?
I know, but if you want to to teach our users how to develop it, we can definitely share.
Sounds good. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.